So we're going to start talking about circumference of a circle. I know we talked about area, and area was finding this whole circle, finding what could go on the inside of this circle. That's area. But now we're going to talk about circumference, and circumference is just the outside of it. Circumference is kind of like the perimeter of a circle. So we want to start looking at circumference. At this point, you should have a formula sheet out. If you do not have one out, please pull it out. We're going to be using the circumference formula. And maybe you can recall the circumference formula from that catchy video that we watched a little earlier. I believe it is 2 pi r. So let's write this down. Circumference equals 2 pi r. So again, just like our area formula, the only thing we're going to be substituting in and out of this equation is going to be our radius. And remember, the radius goes from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. So I would say that 10 inches is in fact our radius. So let's go ahead and substitute that into our equation. We have 2 times pi times 10. Now, instead of putting this straight into your calculator, I want to try and just keep everything in terms of pi for right now. So instead of doing 2 times pi times 10 in a calculator, let's just do, we could start with 2 times 10, which would be 20. And it's like saying 20 times pi. So putting that together, remember, carrying pi like it's a variable, it would just be 20 pi is our circumference. So go ahead and write that down. 20 pi would be our circumference. If you want to put it in the calculator to see what the actual decimal would be, go ahead and put it into your calculator. 20 times pi. I am getting 62.83. That is rounded. It is 62.831. 1 is lower than 5, so nothing rounds. So 62.83 inches. Also, we would be inches up here. 20 pi inches. Okay, let's look at the second example. Remember, circumference is 2 pi r. And again, the only thing we're substituting in and out of our formula is our radius. So in this case, we are actually given the diameter. The diameter is 44. Remember, a radius, if we look at our formula sheet, radius only goes from the center of the circle out to the very edge. So we want something that goes from the middle of the circle to the edge of the circle. How can we find that? How do you take diameter and find radius? Exactly, we're going to take the diameter and just divide by 2. For every 2 radius, it's 1 diameter. So on your line, I want you to write radius equals 44 divided by 2 is 22. So now we actually have our radius. It's 22. So let's substitute that into our equation. We have 2 times pi times our radius, which was 22. Again, I'm going to stick with keeping everything in terms of pi. So we're going to do 2 times 22, and I get 44 times my pi. And again, carrying it just like it's a variable, it's just going to be 44 pi as our circumference. So we can write this up here, 44 pi, and our units are meters, 44 pi meters. And again, with this one, same thing. You can put 44 pi into the calculator and find the decimal. So go ahead, put that into your calculator, 44 pi, and find your decimal answer. All right, I am getting 138.23. That is rounded. It is 0.2300. Isn't going to round anything. And again, it's meters. So maybe you're thinking, why aren't we in inches squared or in meters squared? Again, we're not talking about area. We're not figuring out area. We're just doing circumference, just like a perimeter. If we thought about perimeter, perimeter would be in inches or meters, not inches squared or meters squared. So make sure you just have your label, no squared with it.